You could field a whole team from Man United's injured players. They had that on joe.co.uk the other day. It's like Jones, Rojo, Shaw, De Gea was out, obviously. You had Schweinsteiger in midfield, Rooney up front,
Yeah, I saw that. There's pretty bad injury problems at the moment, but I mean, the FC Michelin team, basically.
Michelin.
Or Midgetland, whatever you want to call them, but.
Midgetland, yep.
Yeah. They're not exactly. They're basically Accrington Stanley, mate. At Manchester United, we had Mata playing, we had Herrera playing, we had Martial playing, we had Memphis playing, we had Smalling playing. We had.
Say that again. They're basically Accrington Stanley. Just think about what you just said then. And I know it's going into defensive mode already, but just think about what you said. Are they really like Accrington Stanley? They're in the last 16 in the Europa League.
In terms of the level, you have to get to achieve that in terms of qualifying for the Danish league. I'd say it's not that high. What is it? What is the? Maybe I'm being ignorant here, but how many times has a Danish side won a European competition?
Honestly, maybe I'm ignorant here too, because I don't really know. I know that Malmo from Sweden used to and still do have a pretty good team. I know that.
Yeah, they're a good side.
Could be
absolutely.
They could be completely different, But
yeah, they are.
I guess my point is they're in the last 16 in the Europa League, so there's not many mugs.
FC Michelin are worth. Yeah, they're a good side. They tore the shit out of us yesterday, has to be said. But the actual value of the club or the players in the club is about £5 million. If you put that into perspective,
sure.
that's about what Ander Herrera's left nut is worth. You know what I mean?
Right.
So is that an acceptable way? Is that acceptable that Louis van Gaal can't beat a side that's worth as much as Ander Herrera's left nut? I don't think it is.
Well, Louis van Gaal's not playing, but
Louis van Gaal's tactics are on display there. It wasn't the team performance was terrible. The individual performances was not good. But the fact is, the way they went about it was not really to an acceptable level. You had Michelin taking the ball forward, attacking, and basically it looked like we were quite content to go for the draw, but we were second to everything. We're literally in every aspect of the game, defensively, attacking, just determination and challenging and all that type of thing. We were second best against FC Midgetland.
Sure.
That's not acceptable. Yeah. And this is just one series. It's just another snapshot of what has been exactly the same thing all season long, apart from a handful of games. Really, it's basically been that all season, and that is not really what is. It's just not the Manchester United way. No way can Louis van Gaal remain in the club when you've got no progression taking place, no entertainment taking place, no results taking place, no performances taking place. It's just not happening for him. And he's had a lot of time. Put it this way: if this was any other club in England, he would have been sacked by now, because if that was in terms of underachieving, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And the performances also. So, do you still want Louis van Gaal in the club? Surely it's got to really that stage.
No, it's got to that stage. You're probably right. It's got to that stage now where it can't be, unless they go on a winning run, which they won't do, I don't think. Then it's probably time to move on now. I'm just going to say a couple of things just before I go into it. You answer this question. Europa League last 16, forget who we're playing. 2-1 away in the first leg. Is that a bad result?
If you look at it in the face of it, no. Because...
No, okay, so I just wanted to clarify that first. Okay.
Well, yeah, it is a bad result because it's a loss, but it's not a terrible result.
No, I'd be willing to bet that if you pulled out a lot of stats and the percentages of teams in Europe when they go away and lose 2-1, how many of them teams qualified to the next round? I bet you it's higher than 50%. So it's not a bad result.
It's not a bad result. There's a lot of good teams in the Europa League. Fiorentina, Dortmund, Tottenham. These are sides that it wouldn't have been a bad result against. But FC Michelin are not a Dortmund, Tom.
Sure, I'm going to ask you, would you say that United are going to qualify for the quarterfinals right now?
I cannot say that whatsoever, no. Because Louis van
Gaal
is still in charge. I think they will, but I can't say that they will, because
regardless of Louis van Gaal being in charge or not. I guess here's my problem. United were top of the league in November, but but they haven't been playing the football. You're probably right that United fans want. Doesn't mean
the home
I
form's
won't
terrible.
say deserve.
That's not good.
I won't say deserved, but because we've been through that. I think regardless the way they were playing, the way United fans behaved, I think United were never going to have a good season. I think it's probably time for a change at the end of the season. I'd still have him into the end of the season.
Yeah, but the problem with keeping him to the end of the season is because the team's not playing the way it should be. Whether or not you can blame Van Gaal, whether you can blame the players, there's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
They're not playing the way they should be. Now, if you continue to put Louis van Gaal in charge, it would not surprise me. Years gone by to say FC Midtjylland, they've won the game at their ground. Fair play to them. They performed like amazing on the night. Look at MK Dons when we lost 4-0 to them. Or York City back in the day. There's loads of examples where we've got battered by bad teams. But previously I would have said at home we'd get the result somehow. But it's got to that stage. It sounds terrible to say this. Manchester United. I'm not 100% sure, I'm not even 70% sure that we're going to beat FC Midtjylland at home and get through to the next round. That is a real problem.
If they played the game behind closed doors, I'd put anything on it. In front of the United fans, no idea, because 20 minutes go by, we ain't scored a goal. There'll be unrest, tension, it affects the players. You can say, it shouldn't affect the players, they're professional. Obviously it does. I honestly think United would be a lot higher up in the league if the fans would have behaved more appropriately this season, actually got behind the team and not got so frustrated so early. You just said it there. We've lost to York, you named a bunch of teams, we lost to bad away from home that weren't good. But it didn't mean the next day at Old Trafford, next game, that it was complete, we might not even win, because we kind
Ordinarily not, but look at
exactly, but
form.
Again,
the
fans down behind the team don't even sell any tickets to them. Don't even sell any tickets to the fans.
What are you on about?
They shouldn't even be allowed to watch the game.
It's ridiculous. What are you talking about?
The team would be better without the fans.
That's ridiculous. The fans get behind the team. When you watch the game, sometimes the fans are brilliant. You know what I mean? It's all about it's just not what we're doing out there on the pitch is not to the level that it needs to be for Manchester United. It's not even. Say we lost that game 2-1 to Midtjylland, but we actually played a reasonable style of football where we're passing, moving it, we're trying to make chances.
Yeah.
But all he did was sort of pass it round the back, sidey. 45 minutes goes by. We stumbled a goal in. They've got an equaliser before half time, and it was just
It was Murphy's Law. That's a bad Van Gaal impression.
That was shocking, mate. I know what an absolute Dutch toad.
Louis Van Gaal.
Murphy's Law. Next week.
G stands for gangster. I'll wreck you in smart.
You've seen that, did you? Sweet, yeah.
It's nice to see what you get up to in your spare time, big fella.
That's it. Yeah, but Louis Van Gaal blaming that on Murphy's Law, what an absolute joke. Next week, we've got Shrewsbury coming up, yeah? if we lose that game, we'll probably blame it on bloody chaos theory, the absolute tosser, you know what I mean? He needs to just leave.
that was a good one. I'll give it that was a good one. This chaos theory. Maybe he will. Maybe he has a point. Hey, and one thing just on this, and I think it is time for him to go now, because I don't think it's going to be time for now. I think Mourinho's got a big enough name, and he's got a big enough clout with Man United. There's enough history there against Man United, and he's very respectful of Man United. I think the fans will really get behind Mourinho if Mourinho is the next guy.
And the players
I think that is the right hire right now. I really do. Again, I'm still disappointed with the way the Man United fans have acted. This comparing his record to Moyes bollocks. Well, let's compare his managerial career to Moyes. He's won every single major competition there is, and David Moyes has won the Charity Shield. But it's like it just, let's be serious for a minute. It's like when I remember when a young Oxlade-Chamberlain was taken off for Andreas Shervin. And Wenger said after the game, they were questioning, why did you take Ox off for Arshavin? Van Persie looked upset. It's like, all right, Oxlade-Chamberlain's had 2 first-team games, and Arshavin's the captain of Russia. Can you be serious for me a little bit, Like, are you kidding me right now?
But at that stage, he was out of form. And Oxlade-Chamberlain was making shit happen. I remember that game.
I don't think it should be Giggs. You're right, I don't think it should be Giggs. Necessarily. I don't know why.
It's got to be Mourinho, doesn't it? Come on. Pep Guardiola at Man City, Mourinho at United. It's the complete.
Mourinho and Pep Guardiola had a lot of years of battles in Spain that seemed to be very interesting at that time.
Exactly.
Pep Guardiola. This is the big thing I want to speak to you about actually. Because I saw your video. This was like this is the main talking point. I actually did want to talk to you about the Van Gaal stuff. Is kind of like beating a dead horse right now. Pep Guardiola at Man City. I saw your video. What do you think?
Well, I think that's a freaking good appointment by them, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pretty annoying that we didn't even go for him. But I'd actually honestly say, I mean, maybe a little while ago I would have said I'd probably rather have Guardiola, but I can honestly say at this stage I'd rather Mourinho anyway, but we need to get Mourinho.
Yeah. I think Pep won't last more than 3 years with City. I don't think he'll win the league. I don't think he'll win the Champions League. And I don't think he'll go. The mystique will be gone.
That's a bold statement, and hopefully it's true.
Well, and here's some reasons why. Pep Guardiola is only managed in leagues where there's been 2 teams. Managing in a league where there's 20 teams is a real problem. Mourinho said this, and I think Mourinho is so smart, because Mourinho only said this like in that interview like 3 weeks ago about Pep Guardiola. He said, "Well, it's the Spanish league is weird because when I managed in it, it was boring because there was 2 teams. It's like we won every other game, so did Barcelona, and then we play them, and that would be the title game. But he said in England, it's different. You go to away to. I know everyone just says Stoke on a Tuesday night. You know, can you do it in Stoke? But you do. You go away to Stoke. You go away to Bournemouth. You go. These aren't just 5-6-0 wins where Ronaldo scores 5 goals or Messi scores 5. These are tough games. You know and it's hard to play. So Pep Guardiola is going to be coaching in these conditions, and they're going to lose away at Stoke, or they're going to lose here, and how he reacts to that. Again, it's a question mark with his style of play. You know, I'm not a fan of his style of play at all. I think he coaches.
It's not necessarily
the ball,
that effective in the Premier League. That sort of possession style.
No,
either.
I don't think it will be effective.
I totally agree with you. Actually, I think Pep Guardiola is going to really struggle at Man City to begin with.
Yeah, so. I think he's. I'm glad you said that. I am, because I think he's a very intelligent, obviously elite football mind. But you've got to have a lot more about you to manage in the Premier League, and that's the beauty of it. We can say, and you're right now, we can say Barcelona are the best team in Europe, and then you've got Real Madrid, and then wow, Leicester are our best team right now. And I think that's unfair on Leicester, but you know what I mean. Arsenal and Man City were behind them, and that may be true of the top teams. It may be, but if you look at the depth of the Premier League, and this is why we've got all these anomalies this year, it's because the depth is so good. It's just a far superior league to the Spanish.
It is really a really level playing field. Like the teams are unbelievable. Yeah.
And so I mean, when you're managing a club now, and you've managed Barcelona, you managed Bayern Munich, and there's no. I mean, I know Dortmund had that rise, and there are some tough teams in the German league. Don't get me wrong, but it's nothing compared to the English Premier League for depth. The elite teams, they may be just as good or even better, which we've seen. Obviously, England had that peak. English teams had that peak in the late O's, where we dominated Europe, and then Barcelona came.
It's weird how it changes, because if you remember the early '90s, the Italian league had like even teams like Lazio and Parma and teams like that were actually really good, and you had like Fiorentina and Juventus and AC Milan and Inter Milan.
The Italian league was so deep.
It was so deep at one point.
Yeah. And the Italian league, actually, I would argue, and this is from a layman that doesn't know much, even now I would argue the Italian league is still a lot deeper than the Spanish and
you're probably right.
German leagues. And to be honest with you, it just comes from this one thing of, you saw it with Dortmund. Bayern Munich bought all their players, and you see it in Spain where Real Madrid and Barcelona. If there's a real good player at Valencia, they always end up at Real Madrid, Barcelona, right? But in the Italian league, there seems to be enough kind of history and enough clout behind a lot of different clubs. The Milans, the Lazios, the Parmas, I know Parma aren't great, the Napolis, all these Juventus, obviously. All these teams seem to have enough where
Roma.
It is good. Roma. It's a mixed bag. You know what I mean? So just because you're not just going to go to Juventus because you've stood out at Lazio. No, that's not the way it works. Same in England. You see right now, I mean, Man United, Liverpool. I'd love to play for Tottenham right now. If I'm a footballer and I'm playing for Tottenham right now, I'm not even entertaining offers from anyone. I'm like, this is brilliant. We have a great team. It's young. We're going to be sick. We have a bit of money now, and everyone has a bit of money now because of these TV rights. So I guess that was the thing as well. I was almost pleased when Pep Guardiola took the job at City because I thought, perfect, I don't think that's going to go well for him. Again, I don't necessarily even think it's going to be his fault. And I know people are going to say he's going to have a ton of money, he's going to have this and that. But you've got to manage the situation now, transition. And I know Bayern Munich, he did okay, but he took a team that won the Champions League this year before. He didn't win the Champions League with them,
Yeah.
So I mean,
He took over a treble win inside. You know what I mean? In a very weak league in terms of depth.
Technically, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I think that's going to be good. I think Mourinho at United. I'm not worried about the style of play. I said this: Real Madrid scored over 100 goals and he was in charge. Chelsea used to attack teams a lot with that 4-2-3-1 when he had wingers like.
I'm not worried about that at all.
Damien Duff and Robin and them kind of guys, And I think that United fans, he has enough history, and I think history is very important at Man United. Not immediate. That I think linked history to United is very important. I think Mourinho has that. I think that Fergie always respected him. He always stayed away from Fergie in the mind games. He'd always go after others. He's always been very respectful of United. He always said what a great club it was. He's always said these great things about Man United, and I think that's important. And he's had massive success. And United are obviously, again, one of the reasons I'm proud to be a United fan is we have always been just. We've never been a cheating team, and not I don't mean a cheat or dirty team. We've had great ambassadors for the game, time and time.
Well, apart from Roy Keane,
but Roy Keane, Roy Keane wasn't the type. I know the Haaland one.
No, I love Roy Keane, but he was a dirty bastard.
But the Haaland one was the dirtiest, cleanest challenge I've ever heard, because it's just like, all right, I'm not going to try and muck around. I'm just going to kick you.
I'm just going to spin you around 360 degrees.
I'm just going to spin you around 360 degrees. I remember when I tore my hamstring, or he hurt himself, and he was over me saying, "Get up, you cunt," So, sorry about the language there, but
anyway, so basically, Jose Mourinho is really the man. There's not really anybody else in the running that you want to take over from Van Gaal. But the question is, do you think? I think you answered it earlier. I can't remember. Do you think we should actually stick with him for the remainder of the season, or would we not be better off just getting him in now? Who's to say? I don't know. Anything happens. Real Madrid or somebody else want Jose Mourinho. Who knows? No, that won't happen, but you know what I mean? Something like that could happen.
Here's the thing, and I know you're going to disagree with me on this time thing, but my heart says that Van Gaal should be there at the end of the season because he's not been given enough time, and the United fans have been impatient and unwilling to kind of accept him. But that's fact now. So my head says, it's probably time for him to go, and it's probably time for someone like Mourinho to come in. And I think Mourinho is the type of character. The only thing, Mourinho's such an arrogant bastard. He wants to be remembered to be the best or the greatest. His blemish on his record right now is no longevity. So I think the next club he'll be at, he'll just do that to piss people off. He'll be there 10 years, and he'll win a lot of trophies.
We just need Mourinho.
And I just don't think, if you look at the Chelsea are not a big club. Okay, they're a big club. They're not a massive club. There's a difference between a big club and a massive club. At Man United, players can't turn against the manager. Can you imagine what people like Bobby Charlton and Alex Ferguson would do if there was a player revolt? Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
It would be, but at Chelsea it happened, and I don't care. The dressing room told them they wouldn't play for him. It was probably very uneasy. It was probably something like The Damned United. You've seen that film, right?
Yeah.
When he's like just in the corridor hearing them bitch about him. That's not going to happen at a club like United. It's not going to happen at a club like Liverpool either. It's just not. You're not going to have a player revolt. There's too much history. There's too much massive influential names. No players bigger than the club.
The fans wouldn't have it either.
No, I mean, it would be. They'd be booing the players on the pitch. So the players. So
even if Van Gaal lost every game of the season, if there was a player revolt, it just would,
Yes. Oh, they that maybe would be the best thing that could happen to Van Gaal. Maybe people would back him then. But no, that wouldn't happen. So honestly, at Real Madrid, he had to deal with that because them Galacticos and them players, you've got to deal with that. Inter Milan, people say he doesn't have longevity. People forget he took Inter Milan from a Europa League type club. I think they were. I might be wrong, but anyway, my point is he won the Champions League with them, and then he left. They weren't going backwards. They weren't going down. His Champions League was his last game managing them when they won it. So it's not like, oh, he goes everywhere, he has success and then fails. No, he chose to move on at that stage. And then he went to Real Madrid. And to be honest with Real Madrid, he chose to move on. They weren't terrible when he left, you know. So Chelsea both times they've dropped off, but that's because of that football club not being established for a long enough period of time where you've got these legends, and then so you've got a bunch of brats that had a Russian millionaire throw money at them and the core of the team. If your core of your organization is John Terry, you've got a big fucking problem because he's not to me. Maybe he's the nicest guy in the world. I don't know, but to me, he's just not your Bobby Charlton. He's not your David Beckham. And I know this is going to become a little tongue in cheek because right now our assistant manager, who was a childhood hero of mine, Ryan Giggs, apparently his personal life is about as shady as it gets, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, so that's a little bit difficult for me to say. I understand if someone said, oh, look at Giggs, calling Terry a bastard. But
Giggsy just likes to get down, you know? he likes it fucked up.
We have Bobby Charlton. We have Alex Ferguson. We have all these memories, you know. We have there's just a lot of. It's an institution, and that hasn't changed over 2-3 years. It is an institution that United became, and that's just the way it is. So, my point is that Mourinho is never going to have to deal with that he dealt with at Chelsea and possibly at Real Madrid. He's going to be there a long time.
Why wouldn't he want to stay there for at least a good few years?
Exactly.
It's one of the biggest clubs in the world.
He's gonna prove that and he's consistent and will win a lot of games and he'll win trophies. So yeah, right now,
exactly. His record speaks for itself. Get Jose Mourinho in. Get that Dutch toad Louis van Gaal. It looks like a cross between Sloth from the Goonies and Dirk Kuyt.
You know what I'd like to happen if it could happen, and this is just because I don't like the way United fans have acted this season. I'd love Louis van Gaal to leave, go back and manage the Netherlands or something in a year or two, because they're in trouble right now. Go back and manage them and win the World Cup with them. I would adore that. That would,
that would be fantastic. Insane. Yeah, well, he did well with the Netherlands. You can't deny that, and they are doing shocking now. He's definitely doing something right there, but and throughout his career. But the thing is, sometimes it's just square pegs, round holes. And you can't.
There is. You're right. And again, I don't think Pep Guardiola would have. You said in your video, why didn't United try and get him? I don't think he would be a good fit at United.
I'm not sure if he would either, but really still, why didn't we try and get him instead of that freaking Louis van Gaal?
Because if we've already got a problem there, why just compound it with another problem? Why not get the right person?
Well, he would have been better. Right person. Surely he's one of the best managers in the world.
No, I know, but I do. So was Van Gaal. That's what you would say about him before he came into United.
True.
I do think Mourinho is the right.
He's the right fit.
Guy.
He's the right fit.
Yeah. It's a round peg, round hole.
Finally, so we turned you around then. You're Van Gaal out now, are you?
No.
What?
No, I still.
What?
No, I'm not Van Gaal out.
Before we cheat.
I'm not. He's a beautiful man still.
Okay. What, do you want him to remain to the end of the season, then go, or you want to stick with him forever?
No, I don't. I think it's time to go. I don't think it's the right decision, but I think it's a necessary decision, if that makes any sense at all.
Fair play.
Hey,
mate.
I better get back and manage this, this place. It's good though. Thanks for sharing the Van Gaal video. When I'm, working at the bank 50 hours a week and coaching soccer 20 hours a week, it's nice to see that what you're doing with your time is making Louis van Gaal videos.
Rap videos.
It was brilliant. To be fair to you, it was absolutely brilliant. I watched it about 15 times. But, yeah.
Nice one, mate. Yeah, I'm gonna make some more, some crazy rap battles and stuff. Van Gaal versus Mourinho, etc. Anybody listening to this, let me know what you think about that.
Hey.
For now, this is Mr. Flying PhD with my brother Tom. Thanks very much for watching. Got anything final to say?
Have a good weekend, everybody. I hope United perform better.
Sort their freaking lives out. All right, mate. Bye-bye. Have a good one. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.
Like, subscribe, and comment.